Raider Nation, what's going on? I am Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report, and I know a lot of people are looking for one person and one person only. His name is Jeremy Chuggs. I don't even know if he's going to show his face today after the Rockets ended up getting beat Game 7 to the Dubs. Let's get some dubs down below, and if you want, shout out your city. What we got coming up here on today's show, we're going to go through the latest Raiders news and rumors. We are also going to be looking at some potential sleeper candidates that, you know, when we always talk about surprise cut candidates, there are players that would be surprising to get cut. Today we're going to do a similar segment like that, but it's going to be based on surprise roster candidates. Dudes that I don't know if necessarily have a shot to make it, but, you know, they could end up making it. I would look at it as almost like a player like an Isaiah Paul-Amal a few years ago, UDFA, that ended up making that 53-man roster. I did plan on having a Raiders player today do an interview. Unfortunately, his agent reached out to me a few hours ago and told me that we are going to have to reschedule, and it's just one of those things. You know, it was unfortunate. I really, really wanted to be able to do another interview. We will get another opportunity to do it. We will also do a signed jersey giveaway for that player. I just don't know exactly which day it's going to be. Got a lot of stuff happening, obviously, with Raiders rookie minicamp on, May 9th, but they told me their very first day of practice for the rookies is going to be on Thursday, so unfortunately he's not going to be able to be here. All good, all good. We're still going to do a mailbag, though, so you can already get those hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat like Dylan Erickson did. Dylan Erickson, I see you down there below, man, and I feel that and I represent it. Connor Luther, 570, represent Pottsville. Connor, I was actually talking to my dad about, somebody got recognized the other day, actually, in Pennsylvania. And somebody went up to him and they were like, yo, I think that's Papa Renz from the Raiders Report. Pretty mind-blowing thing, but I am going to be doing a Raiders event in the 570. I'm hoping by the end of this year. Obviously, with my wedding coming up, it's a little bit complicated. But let me know where we're watching from. We got a really, really fun show on tap for everybody today. I see York, PA from King Shav. What up, man? My cousin lives in York. Abel says L.A. Raphael says, where's Chuggs? I don't know if Chuggs is going to show his face or not today. He's been seeing all the comments. He's been seeing what y'all been saying. Raider Ron, I don't know if you're going to be here today, but man, oh man, I hope that you are. Zalesbo rocking from Albuquerque, from the 619 from Can't Walk.
I'll just say this.
There he is.
I'll just say this.
Let's get it out of the way.
Good series. Y'all got the win, but I will say this. The Timberwolves are about to smack y'all.
I don't know, dude.
The Timberwolves are about to smack y'all. I'm just saying. Y'all got lucky.
I'm happy that it went to Game 7. Legitimately, I am happy that it went 7 games. Super entertaining series. There's been a lot of really entertaining series.
I told Mitch 5 bangs before our first segment, and I'm doing a Warriors boot.
I don't know what I don't know what a Warriors boot is, by the way.
Happy Dad with blue food coloring.
It's got to be pineapple, though, which might be the worst flavor. If there's one thing of Happy Dads that we have maybe too many of, like the flavors, it's the pineapple one. And I think it's the worst flavor.
All right.
Pineapple Happy Dad boot, and we got to make it blue.
5 bangs before our first segment, and I'll do that, but
5 bangs.
I know everybody's been talking their shit. Everybody's been talking
the amount of comments that we've gotten on just random videos. Like yesterday, I did a video. It was on, I think it was like surprise roster cuts or something like that. And literally, like one of the very first comments was like, "Where's Chuggs at? He's hiding." I got the amount of text messages I got. It was awesome, dude. Great series. Congrats to the Warriors. And reminder, if anybody wants to party with my guy Smitty tonight, he is going to be live for Warriors Game 1 against the Timberwolves. Going to be some wild deals. They're going to be doing some giveaways. Who knows? I might even decide to pull up. Not tonight, but in a future game, no doubt about it. I will say this. I got to try to be out of here today in about 2 hours. For those of you that don't know, today is Alex and I's anniversary. 2 years now we've been engaged. Also a month away from us getting married, so we're going to go out for dinner tonight. So I got to be done today by 5 o'clock my time. Just a little FYI out there. But what up, John Simpson? What up, Mike? I see Kubi, Chi-Town. Appreciate you.
Dylan, you're in.
Dylan, you in. And, yeah, man, we got you. If you do end up winning, I'll get you a jersey. You just got to send me, the size for your kid, because I feel like if I'm just ordering kid jerseys, they might they might look at me a certain type of way. But if you don't know what Dylan's talking about, if you want to get entered in for a chance to win an Ashton Jeanty Raiders jersey, now we know that he is number 2, $5 super chat, or you can send in a super thanks if you want to be entered in. Super chat now live. Super thanks if you're not able to join the live show, and every time that you do it, you're just going to get an extra entry raffle in. Winner is going to be announced Friday, May 30th. I think we're just going to do a wheel. We talked about doing a duck race, but it would be a lot. It would be a lot of people just ducking around. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is some Raiders news and some rumors. There was something that happened yesterday that I don't know if I could be more excited about, and I think for a lot of people that watch this show, you probably know what I'm going to talk about because there is a name in the NFL that I refer to a lot in terms of being a very, very smart football mind, and I think the Raiders did something yesterday that did not get nearly enough attention. I'm also going to talk about some interesting rumors that I heard around Raheem Mostert. We're also going to talk a little bit about Amari Gaynor. I had this question asked to me yesterday in my DMs at Mitchell Renz 365, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to answer it today here on the Raiders Report. More yards in 2025. Do you think Brock Bowers is going to have more receiving yards this season, or do you think Ashton Jeanty is going to have more rushing yards this season? Type BB for Brock Bowers, AJ for Ashton Jeanty, Chuggy Bowl. Where are you going to go on this one? I have my answer. This is a good tough question.
So I'm going to say
this is a good problem.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this.
I'm listening.
Because the guys the Raiders got in the wide receiver room, I think it's clear that Brock Bowers is the number one option. It's almost like Travis Kelce with the Chiefs the past couple of years where it's like, he's the tight end, but technically he's the wide receiver one.
I agree.
With that being said, I think Brock Bowers just rolls off the year he had past, the best rookie season ever by a tight end.
Yep.
So I got to type my BB. And also, Ashton Jeanty's great. I haven't seen it at the pro level.
Yep.
I've seen Brock Bowers at the pro level with bad quarterback play.
Yeah.
Now that he has a good quarterback, give me Brock Bowers. Maybe an unpopular opinion, I'm going BB.
I mean, Brock Bowers last season with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, 112 catches, 1,194 yards, 5 touchdowns. In my mind, I am expecting Bowers to put up 1,200 receiving yards this season. And I'll be real, I don't know if he's going to have as many receptions. I think, instead of him averaging 10.7 yards per catch, I think you're kind of hoping that number jumps up a little bit. Chip Kelly offense, just a better offense all around, better quarterback play. You're probably hoping that yards per catch goes up to about 12, maybe 12 and a half yards. But I still expect him to be around 1,200 receiving yards. Here's the thing, though. Ashton Jeanty better get 1,200 rushing yards. I was talking with my guy, Jay Rader. Shout out to you, man, and rundown over the weekend. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It was a lot of fun. We ended up talking for probably about 2.5 hours on that show. If you didn't see it, if you want to see a show that I did on another Raiders YouTube channel, look up Raiders Rundown, Jay Rader, 2.5-hour interview that we did. It was a good time. But I think it's going to be Ashton Jeanty. I'm going to go with AJ here, and I think that this is going to be an extremely, extremely close race overall. But I do anticipate this football team to run the rock a lot. And like you said, the wide receiver room, I hear you loud and clear, but I have more confidence in the receivers not named Brock Bowers than I do the running backs not name Ashton Jeanty. And I do think Raheem Mostert's going to get some work in there, but this is going to be a really, really close one. Quite frankly, this is a really, really good problem to have. Let me see what we got. Big Luck is going to go with Brock Bowers. What up, man? I see Brian's going to go with Ashton Jeanty. 916 Raider says Brock's going to get 1,250 yards. AJ is going to get 1,500 total yards. This is the future of the Raiders. You're looking at it. Brock Bowers, Ashton Jeanty, and quite frankly, I know he's not going to get any receiving or rushing yards. JPJ, I believe, does deserve to be in this trio right here. Let's go to my man, Rich Wolf. Rich, you in. LeBum once again in Cancun. Draymond son is Segun. Curry is the Houston Tycoon. Warriors build him a statue at Toyota.
Rebel Montana, you're up.
I didn't know where we were going with that one. Actually, really funny story. I don't know who the Raider fans are. So my boss, James, did you hear this story? James, over the weekend, was at a wedding in Costa Rica.
His Charger? Got stolen?
Nope, different one. My boss James is in Costa Rica this weekend, and he's at a club, and they're they're partying, they're having a good time, and he's wearing a Raiders Report hat.
He's been rocking hats a lot.
Whoever the two Raiders fans were that went up to him that watched the Raiders Report, if you guys can figure out a way to watch this show and you can prove that it was y'all two, I will send you to a Raiders Report hat. 2 random Raiders Report watchers in Costa Rica partying with James. That joke has got way too many levels to it.
Rebel.
It's only a Tuesday for that joke.
Nick's with the upset. Best Marsh impression. What's your best Marsh impression?
Knicks win! Knicks win! Knicks win!
Scoreboard!
Or my favorite was last night I was listening to the game on I was listening to Marsh because he's about 45 seconds ahead of what I saw on TV. And there was one time it was like, Jalen Brunson, 3, good! And I was just hysterically dying. But I mean, like, that's an electric game. They're down 20 points. You get it tied back up at 100-100. That Knicks-Celtics series, if that goes 7 games, oh my God, I can't wait, dude. I love playoff basketball. And it's why I get so pissed off of what the product is in the regular season. Because if you told me right now we could get playoff basketball in the regular season, and if the way to do it is to cut the games in half and go 40 games a year, I would do it in a heartbeat because the regular season sucks. Playoff basketball is absolutely electric, dude. What are you looking up, Marsh?
I was letting Marsh know that his best friend was in the live, and he just said, send me the link.
Reb's always here. Reb, I love you, man. Let's go a little flapjack. Put me in for the jersey for sure. Anybody drafting him in Dynasty this year, I had the 1-1 in one of my leagues, and you know what I had to do. I actually got asked this question. I don't do as much fantasy football as what I used to do, but I had one of my buddies, actually way back in the day. You guys know Sleeper now. They're a lot more popular, but back in 2017, Sleeper hired me, and I would do their Pros versus Joes fantasy football tournaments that they did. So anyway, I was talking to a guy from Sleeper literally just a few hours ago, and he was like, what would you do? Would you trade, if you had the 101, would you trade the 101 for Saquon Barkley, or would you take Ashton Jeanty? Like, and the way that I would look at it is, who's going to be the better running back for the next 4 to 5 years? Saquon Barkley or Ashton Jeanty? Who do you think is the better back for the next 4 to 5 years?
You don't want to ask me that.
I mean, I think it's a good question. And even if it's Saquon Barkley, that's fine. Next 4 to 5 years, though.
I'll do the same thing as I did with Brock Bowers.
It's a tough one.
And I think this is a strong lesson for anybody looking at rookies coming into the NFL. Because if you asked most NFL experts, most people last year, who would they have said would be the number 1 rookie wide receiver?
Last year? Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr., and he was arguably the 3rd or 4th, if you're counting Brock, maybe the 5th best wide receiver out of last year's draft.
I agree.
So I think Jeanty will be really good. And this isn't me like saying that Jeanty's going to be bad.
Of course.
I just think like I have more faith in guys who I've seen do it before. Saquon just had a 2,000-yard year.
But do you think
Brock Bowers
we're talking 4 to 5 years though down the road?
I know, but I think the Eagles' O-line is set up better over the next 3 years than the Raiders is.
I agree with that. Right now.
And I think
I agree with that.
For running backs, it's 50% I'm looking at the running back. The other 50 I'm looking at the O-line.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And I think having a running quarterback like Jalen also helps out Saquon Barkley. But I'll tell you this, man, if it's an interesting one. I might take Jeanty.
And that's what I was saying earlier. I'd take Brock Bowers because I think he's the best tight end in football right now.
I don't even think it's a debate.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, and there's not too many things in sports where it's not a debate. And I don't think – I think if you were to ask 100 people – and have it not be biased, right? Because I'm sure there's a Cardinals fan that's like Trey McBride or a Chiefs fan that's like Travis Kelce. If you were to ask all 32 GMs right now, you get to pick any tight end in the National Football League to have on your team for the next 10 years. Who's it going to be? Everybody's going to go with Brock Bowers. Uh-oh, the Knicks are in the chat. Dude, I'm telling you what, man, that game was absolutely electric.
If you want some of the craziest NBA watch parties you've ever seen, if you want a Raiders Report watch party, but in the NBA,
Knicks
go
style.
Click on Knicks now and hit that sub button right now. Go click on his name. Hit that subscribe button.
What my favorite thing is sometimes about those watch parties is the level of emotion for Marsh, where it could be like, Jalen Brunson, good! what? To like
Bro,
30 seconds later, it being like.
My favorite is the hype, and then it's a miss, where it's like Jalen Brunson, he hits him, he makes him touch dirt, he misses the shot.
But I mean, like, that's why people subscribe to Chat Sports, because we're fans just like all y'all. And you can't tell me when you're watching some of those games, you don't feel that emotion as well. What up, Bishop? Blessings, Raider Nation. Let's get that ring. I'll tell you what. This is the first time in a long time that I think the Raiders are at least moving in the right direction. I don't think that we are Super Bowl bound. Don't hate me for saying that. But before you reach the Super Bowl, you got to be able to make the playoffs. And I do legitimately think that this Raiders team has a shot to make it. Whether or not we end up making it, I don't know. But I guarantee you this. NFL teams don't want to run into the Raiders in January and February, especially with the team that is built in the trenches the way that they are. And if tackling Ashton Jeanty is difficult, and I could see the Raiders honestly having some growing pains just throughout September, October, brand new regime, brand new team, a lot of new faces. If they figure it out, that's a brand of football that teams don't want to run in at the end of the season. Michael, Ian, if Cam Miller plays lights out, does he become the quarterback too? Potentially. You know, over the weekend, I said on a podcast that if Cam Miller and Will Howard were going to be on, we're basically, if they both were available to the Raiders, I was told by one source that the Raiders would have went with Cam Miller. Literally when I said that, I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he's like, no, I think the Raiders would have ended up going with Will Howard. So it's very split emotions. But my point is, the Raiders are a lot higher on Cam Miller than I think a lot of us maybe originally thought that they were. But maybe not. I don't really know the answer. If it was up to me, I would be shocked if Miller outplays Aiden O'Connell. But I do think both quarterbacks are very similar, where it's like both can be reliable backups. Both don't really have a lot of upside, but if you just need somebody to go in there and execute an offense, I think both of those guys are going to be able to do it. But here's one thing I know. Cam Miller is going to make Aiden O'Connell better. Aiden O'Connell is going to make Cam Miller better. Cam Miller and Aiden O'Connell are going to make Geno Smith better. Let's go to Can't Walk. Chuggs looks like he can do the boot challenge and truffle shuffle at the same time.
Well, that's funny, Can't Walk, because you look like a K.
Oh, my man. Can't Walk. One of the best in the biz. How'd you spend that money you won the other day in the duck race?
Get a pick.
Get a pick. No, that's my dude right there. Let's go, Fidel. You in.
This
Put
dude
me
looks
in
like an F.
for the jersey. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is what they look like. If your body is shaped like an F, actually, I don't know. I was going to say arms, and if that top of the F is the arm, you already know what that the other part is. So
congrats, Fidel.
He's not effing around, I'll tell you that. What up, 805? Real one for life. Appreciate you, dude.
This dude's got no neck.
I was gonna say, he reminds me of one of those. What are they? What are the Wii characters from Wii Sports?
Me.
Is that what they were called?
It's like M-I-I.
Yeah, I'll tell you this right now. That would actually be a lot of fun if we could figure out a way to do a little Wii Sports in the off season.
Oh, bro. What out of the Wii Sports? Which one's your game?
Wii Baseball.
Oh, I go Wii Bowling.
Oh, you would. Are you the guy where it's just holding it, and then all of a sudden the ball just launches?
Yes.
Ugh.
Strike every time, baby.
See, I'm Wii Baseball. What up, White Hat? Been wondering what kind of O is Chip going to implement. Sneaking suspicion that Bowers and Mayer get some good work for sure. However, O-line, etc., I'm not sure what he's going inside zone. Much love to the nation. I mean, he does run a lot of zone run schemes, and you're going to see a lot of that. Quite frankly, I think the offense that they ran at Ohio State last season is going to be something very similar to what the Raiders are going to do this year. But that's one of the best parts about Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly has been able to show you that he can win with a mobile quarterback. He's been able to show you that he can win with a non-mobile quarterback. But I think Geno Smith and Will Howard have similar skill sets in terms of their running ability, where Howard's not a running quarterback, but he can use his legs to pick up a first down. Geno Smith's not a mobile quarterback, but he can use his legs to pick up a first down. I mean, Geno's got legit 4.65, 4.7 speed, which might not seem like a lot. I know he ran like a 4.54 back in his old day at the NFL Combine, and I don't know if you're going to get that speed anymore from a 34-year-old Geno Smith. But this is going to be an offense that is predicated on being able to spread you out, being able to beat you down the field. And Ohio State last season, they ran the ball the 95th most in college football, but it was also a team that didn't run a lot of plays. They actually slowed you down a lot more than what people realized. And, when we think of Chip Kelly, we think of fast, we think of speed it up. If I'm the Raiders and I'm really trying to take care of business against teams like, Patrick Mahomes, a team like Justin Herbert, a team like, Bo Nix, oftentimes I've said, what are teams going to do to compete with those quarterbacks? Bottom line is you're not going to be able to go blow for blow, giggity, up against the guy like Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. So what's a good way to take him off the field? Don't let him get all in the field. Slow down your offense a little bit. Make sure that you can pick up those tough first downs with guys like Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Jack Besh. Maybe you throw in a little bit of Tommy Malott, but also get some field stretchers. Trey Tucker, get a Dante Thornton Jr., be able to run the football effectively because when you can spread out an offense and then also have a running back like Jeanty, teams aren't going to be able to stack the box because if they do, you're going to be able to beat them deep. I don't know the exact offense the Raiders are going to run, but I do think this is a much better offense than what people will give it credit for. Put me in for the jersey. I got Jeanty going for 2,000 yards.
If that's the case, Bishop, you should go right now and you should place a wager.
Are you saying 2,000 total yards, though?
Either way, if that's what you think, Bishop, you should go right now and place a wager on Ashton Jeanty Rookie of the Year.
Oh, I agree with that.
If you truly think that's going to happen, he's going to win.
If this happens, I'm going to say 1,500 rushing, 500 receiving. That's kind of how that breakdown would go if it was up to me. Let's go to Jay Peace. How many primetime games y'all think we get?
Last year it was only 2, right?
Not even. They had the Black Friday game.
Black Friday and then the Monday,
and then the Monday night game. Well, again, some people didn't consider the Black Friday game primetime.
And then the Monday, it was a doubled-up Monday Night Football.
Exactly. But, that's going to happen when you got Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. I will say this regime is going to get more primetime games. If I had to guess, let's go 4. I think we'll get 4 primetime games. I think we're going to get a Thursday night football game because we didn't get a Thursday night game last year. Raiders did not have a single Thursday night game. Now, if they do the Black Friday game again, which I think that's going to happen, Christmas is another date to watch out for. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I'm going to go 4.
Are you hoping that are there any dates that you hope they don't play? Like, are you hoping they don't play on Christmas or Thanksgiving or anything? Or do you not really care?
To be honest, I don't really care anymore at this point. Like, I think both of our, you don't really celebrate Christmas. So there's a lot of times where I kind of hope for a Christmas game because the last Christmas game we did, was Raiders-Chiefs. That was electric. The only times where I get, nervous about certain scheduling is if it's on, if one of my buddies is getting married and my cousin, he's getting married in early September. So I'm like, I hope it's not on that Thursday or Friday. But at this point.
You told him he can't get married on Sunday, right?
Correct, yeah. Can't get married on Sunday. Let's go to Blink. Put me in for the jersey. Thanks to all the real ones. Blink, shout out to you. Noah, Chuggs, Giannis to Rockets.
Honestly, Noah, this worries me, on a real level, because if you want to get Giannis, I feel like the Rockets are going to have to give up their entire team.
Which I don't think you want to do.
Which, now, if we were trading with the Dallas Mavs, maybe we give up one guy. But I think we have a really good young team, a lot of unproven guys. But I think to get a guy like Giannis, the Bucks are going to ask for a ton of players because also you don't know if Damian Lillard is going to come back next year because he had a serious injury.
Yeah, he popped his Achilles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You ruptured your Achilles, and
honestly, I would rather. And
sorry, Dame.
I see Jeff Oleptic down there. I would rather go KD to the Rockets, give up a couple of assets, and keep your young core together, and just add a scorer in KD.
Yep,
that's what I would do. But also, call me crazy, but I wouldn't mind running it back. You got a team full of 21 and 22-year-olds.
I agree. I would try to do what the Rockets, or not what the Thunder did. You just
add small pieces.
You just need to find your, Shane Gillis, basically. I know it's not his name, but that's honestly how I think of him, Shane Gillis.
No, that would be trading for Giannis. The Rockets need to find their Alex Caruso and other guys in free agency.
Caruso, I don't think that moves the needle.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're saying they need to find a Shea, then
I think Giannis's trade value is higher than Shea. No?
Dude, Shea was an MVP candidate this year.
I get it, but I think that more people think Giannis is a better basketball player than Shea. No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Right? Like, Giannis is also over 30.
Oh, I know.
Shea is like 24, 25. And he's an MVP, like, level guy.
I think if you ask the NBA guys out there, I think they would say Giannis is better than Shea.
Better trade value.
Better than Shea. Again, I don't know that much about the NBA, but I bet Giannis is better. I mean, y'all are saying it'll be interesting. Stay out of basketball talk, Mitch. All right, fair enough. I did see a comment down there that said, are you not having the other rookie interview today like you stated? Justin, unfortunately, that rookie has to reschedule. I don't know what exact date it's going to happen, but I'm talking to his agent right now. His agent's birthday, funny enough, is actually today.
We have one of our NBA guys, strolling in really quick.
Strolling.
Just a quick question for you. Who has more trade value right now in the NBA? Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or Giannis? Really? Oh, wow. Okay. I said Shea.
See, I said Giannis is a better player than Shea.
Isn't Giannis like 30? And Shea's like 24. How old is Shea? Okay, that's not that much.
Chuggs like he's 24. He's like, nah, you're like 25, 26.
Okay.
Right. I mean, I think it's a lot closer than what people think.
I thought it would have been – I thought it was close, but I would have been like SGA.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. My point was it's close.
If that's the case, if I'm the Rockets, I'm trading everything for SGA if it's cheaper than Giannis.
Noah, appreciate the question, man. Let's go to my man. Can't Walk B-Day weekend. Spent money on the food. Cheers. Where'd you go out to eat? Have you been back to that brewery that we went to many, many years ago, which I can't remember what it was called, but I remember they had this like Bo Jackson beer. It was owned and operated by a Raiders fan. It's where it was like 5 or 6 of us ended up meeting up. I'd love to go back to San Diego and crush some beers. It wasn't the first spot that we went. It was the second place we ended up going to.
What San Diego is translated to?
No, please tell me. I also heard it was discovered by the Germans in 1914.
Saint Diego.
Yep. That's a great movie. What a terrible second movie. Anchorman 2. I'm sorry. Just absolutely terrible.
We also have two more segments coming up. We have a mailbag on today's show. So I have a lot of questions in there, but not a lot of Raiders questions. So we still have a lot of slots available.
Please.
Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to get on the show. I'm going to pick all the best Raiders questions. Oh, okay, cool. I saw Zahn, and I was like, if Ron was here, I was worried I was going to have to do that boot.
No, I think we're in the clear. Tuesdays don't usually get too crazy here.
And if you're just now joining us, I admitted defeat, even though Warriors fans, and especially Draymond, got really lucky. But I said –
he did.
I said 5 bangs before the first segment, and I do a Warriors boot.
That would be wild. Wild. Hashtag Raiders, or you can Super Chat to skip the line to get on our mailbag today. Again, we planned on doing a
Ron, you
live
didn't hear
interview today.
You didn't hear that, Ron.
We were just talking about Ron.
You did not hear that.
I don't know. Ron, I love you, Ron. I love your Musk.
5 bangs from anybody besides Ron.
Rich Chuggs, time to sign and trade for Harden. We do have a few more supers that I want to get to. The last segment we are going to do on today's show is going to be surprise roster candidates. And this is going to be players that did not make my initial 53-man roster projection. And I'm going to talk about which players from that list that did not make that roster, which guys that I could see, and I'll paint the picture of why I could see them ended up making this roster. What up, Raider Rob? Salute Mitch and Chuggs from the Wayne Knight Doppel. I love it. Jeanty got the number 2. Put me in for the jersey. Friends need his B-Day. Hope we get Hilton or Ramsey. You know, Mike Hilton, I actually think is probably the better chance of it happening just simply because of the position he plays, more of a slot corner where Ramsey's outside, and the Raiders right now I would say feel pretty confident about their outside corners. If Ramsey is okay with maybe moving back at the safety, that's a different conversation. But then again, are you willing to give up, let's say, a 4th-round pick and pay a guy $21.1 million to play a position he's never played before? I don't know if I would be. And, and I don't know if the Raiders would be either. I don't know if Spytek and Carroll, who have been pretty safe or at least have thought about what they're going to do, I don't know if that's a move that they would make. What up, Rich? Time to sign and trade for James Harden.
I mean, if it was cheap, if
you don't want Harden.
Him coming off the bench as a 6th man, yes, I do.
Okay.
Like, not a starter, if we can get him for cheap.
Sure, I like that.
I think he'd be a great 6th man.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I thought you were saying, like, starter. Again, you need your stars to play big in big games. And I'm sorry, like, Harden can't do it. He has yet to be able to prove it his entire career. What up, Noah? Appreciate you, Noah. Chuggs, Giannis. I think we already got that one.
Yeah, it did the thing where
am I in? And if I am, how does it feel?
Feels good.
Maybe that's why we didn't put him up on screen.
It feels real good.
You can feel the suave and you can feel the mente is all I'm going to say. It feels a little suavemente. Jeremiah Daniel, which nickel corner would you trade for? I don't know off the top of my head who's available necessarily, but like there's good enough nickel corners where if you want to go out and sign one right now, you're going to be able to go out and sign one. Like I know Mike Hilton's getting up there in age, but he would be able to be a starting slot corner on our team. I'm curious of how well this team believes in Darnay Holmes, but if there's one thing that I always say with Patrick Graham defenses, sometimes like you can't look at just positions and you just got to be like, this guy's going to play in the secondary. Jeremy Chin, I know, is listed as a strong safety. He's going to play a lot of linebacker this year. They're going to move him in and out. Isaiah Paul-Lamal is going to play a lot of strong safety, a lot of free safety. They're going to line him up in the nickel. Like, the amount of different things that our Raiders defenders are going to be asked to do this season, it's going to be a lot more than I think any of us actually anticipate. But it's the way that the Raiders are building this defense where, I wouldn't be shocked if this team said, you know what, we're unable to bring back Nate Hobbs, a player that was a very versatile chess piece because of how versatile he was in just terms of like you could put it on the outside, you could put him on the inside. There was even, a lot of Raiders coach that said you could line Nate Hobbs up at safety. I almost wonder if the Raiders look at players like a DeCamerion Richardson, a Jacorian Bennett, a Darian Porter, and they're looking at those guys and they're like, you know what?
What?
Build very similar to Nate Hobbs, long, lanky, super athletic. I wonder if we can allow those dudes to do all of those things that Nate Hobbs did last season, and instead of paying one guy to do it, what if we pay 3 guys pretty cheap to be able to do it? I think that this Raiders defense is going to be super versatile, and they have confidence in their secondary because of how good they believe this defensive line is going to be. And when your D-line's getting after the quarterback as well as what I think the Raiders will, you're going to be able to, get away with some of the other things that you might not be able to get away with in the secondary. Coming up here on today's show, let's get into the Raiders news and rumors from today.
Ron, thank you for sparing me.
Ron, thank you so much for everything you always do on this show, and at most, definitely striking fear into Jeremy. After the Warriors win, I knew when I got a text from Ron that night, I was like, all right, let's see what this thing says.
I was worried Ron was going to show up today, but he probably knows that the Timberwolves are soonly going to, whoop that ass, so he doesn't want to get too far ahead of himself.
I don't know enough about basketball. I don't know how the matchups go, but the Wolves are a fun team to watch right now. I mean,
they're gonna beat the Warriors.
I don't know.
I'm going Wolves in 5.
I don't know. I think it depends which team shows up. If Buddy Hield's putting in 30, they might win it all.
A report came out that Anthony Edwards had a pre-NBA draft meeting with Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr told Anthony Edwards if he had the number 1 pick, he wouldn't take him. I don't know if I was getting ball sacked or not, but
I think I saw something like that also, but why? I mean, why would you? Why would you take Anthony Edwards number 1? Or am I misreading that? I mean,
no, he was the number 1 pick.
Oh, I thought you were saying like if they drafted right now.
No, it was like before the NBA draft.
Oh, okay.
Like before he was taken.
Oh, I thought it was like in context. If they were to do a draft today, he looks at Anthony Edwards like, I wouldn't take you number 1 overall. Like, yeah, no shit. And he's a really good player. I actually wonder if you asked NFL or NBA teams out there, if you have the number 1 pick, would you take Cooper Flagg or would you take Anthony Edwards?
Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think Cooper Flagg's like 24, 25, 26 years old. No, I'm just
I think
kidding.
he's 24. Dude,
no, he's like 25. But it was only again, Rolly's like Mr. Nonchalant, so the way he said that, you would have thought Shea was like 30, the way he said that. Got it. You guys ready to get into the first segment here on today's show? We got 500 people in the building. Big luck. Rebel Montana. Let's get those likes up.
I was going to say only 174
Come
likes.
on, man.
I'm not pushing this thing until we get to 200. I'm not. Well, we'll just sit here. We'll just do that over and over and over again.
Gutierrez, I'm on the toilet. Quite frankly, I think that's the only time you watch this show. Gutierrez is like, holds it until 3 p.m. Central. He's like, all right, now I can go, and now I can do my biz. What's up, Blue? I see Kobe Carson, Ant Edwards, not even close. All right, I got you. Connor Luther says smash that like button. Raphael, 510 people.
T-Nipple,
I'm nuking my toilet right now.
Whew.
That's
we're good. We're about to go into the first segment, so
it's pretty gross.
We're good.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Y'all ready? Coming up, let's get into the Raiders news and rumors that the nation needs to see today. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell everybody how the Las Vegas Raiders pulled off highway robbery against one of the NFL teams. Also, some interesting Raiders rumors. We're going to talk about Raheem Mostert. I saw an article out there saying that the Raiders could potentially move on from Mostert. I'll give you my 2 cents on that. I'm also going to talk about a player that's getting a lot of attention, and that's Amari Gaynor. But first, let's talk about the Raiders pulling off highway robbery here. And I say that because anybody that watches this show, if there is one person that I always give flowers to in terms of being a great NFL GM, it is Howie Roseman. And did the Raiders steal somebody very, very important from Philadelphia? Yes, they did. This one's for just win, babies. Believe it, baby. I would have talked about this yesterday on the show, but Alex and I, we had our wedding walkthrough, so I wasn't able to get to it. So I knew that I had to be able to talk about it because this was a move when the Raiders made it. I was really, really fired up about it. The Raiders hired former Eagles Senior Director of College Scouting, Anthony Patch, and he's going to be the Raiders' new senior personnel executive. He was considered Howie Roseman's right-hand man, and I get it. Some of you might know who Anthony Patch is. Some of you guys might not know who Patch is, but the way that I would look at this is you got to look at what Philadelphia Eagles players, what Philadelphia Eagles fans, what the Philadelphia Eagles media is saying about the Raiders stealing Anthony Patch, because when you take somebody really important away from an organization, it leaves a rippling effect throughout that organization. So here's what Philly Voice had to say on Anthony Patch. The Eagles are known as one of the best teams at finding talent in the NFL draft. Most of the credit, deservingly, goes to Howie Roseman, the team's executive vice president of football operations and general manager, who has the final call on all draft picks and personnel decisions. But as Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni likes to say, you can't be great without the greatness of others, and one of the Roseman's greatest draft assets has left the organization. Anthony Patch, the Eagles' longest tenured scouting staff member, is leaving the team for a senior personnel executive role with the Las Vegas Raiders. Since 2016, Patch had served as the Eagles' senior director of college scouting and was arguably Roseman's most reliable scouting source. It wasn't uncommon to see Patch seated alongside Roseman and the team chairman Jeffrey Lurie in photos or in broadcasts whenever the ESPN or NFL Network cameras cut over to the team's war room during the draft. So what we have seen the Raiders do all offseason is say, you know what? I'm going to cherry pick people from other organizations, and I'm going to bring them here to this organization. I know how devastated a lot of us were when the Raiders weren't unable to get, a guy like Ben Johnson. sitting where I'm sitting at now, I'm okay with us missing out on Ben because the staff that this Raiders team has been able to build over the past month, 2-3 months, we're not giving it enough credit. So now you go out and you get Anthony Patch, somebody who helped the Philadelphia Eagles win 2 Super Bowls. But what do we know about this regime? They love relationships. They value relationships. And Anthony Patch worked with John Spytek from 2005 to 2009 as a scout with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, this is a dude that's been a part of that Philly organization for the past 24 years, y'all. 24 years, Howie Roseman's right-hand man. So this is what I'm going to say, man. I want y'all to hit that like button right now because the Raiders continuously, time and time again, are showing that they are operating like a smart franchise this offseason. I always say, when you're playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers, John Spytek is continuously showing everybody that he's playing some chess out there. And I don't know if we're going to be able to say checkmate, but I hope that we are able to do that someday with Anthony Patch and ultimately win a Super Bowl. Let's go to the next story here on the Raiders Report. And could the Las Vegas Raiders cut Raheem Mostert? I'm going to give you my answer on this, and this is a style of show that I used to do way back in the days. If you've been a part of the Chucky Head days, you're going to love today's show. But we're going to tell you whether or not the Raiders are going to cut Raheem Mostert, and I'm going to tell you who thinks that the Raiders are going to do it. But first, huge shout out to our sponsor here, PrizePicks, and they are America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. And I'm telling you this, I can't wait to show you what I just did on More and Less because I want you to download the app today, use code CLNS, and you're going to be able to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Springtime, it's here, and baseball season is officially underway. I do love baseball, and I don't want you to miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks lineup. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs, take your pick of More or Less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. On PrizePicks, you can mix and match player projections also from different sports. Combine your favorite players, from basketball, hockey, esports. All you got to do is sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So here's a lineup that I did over the weekend, and I wanted to be able to show you guys. And this is the season-long, more or less, on PrizePicks for the Las Vegas Raiders. I also threw in Joe Burrow in here because you can't just take players from just one team and one team only. You got to switch it up a little bit. But this is a $20 lineup for the ability to win $370. Geno Smith, I took the more on 3,650 passing yards. Ashton Jeanty, more than 1,050 rushing yards. Brock Bowers, 4.5 receiving touchdowns. Give me the more on that. Max Crosby, 11.25 sacks. Give me the more on that. Joe Burrow, all they did is build that offense, 4,195 passing yards. Give me the more on that. If all 5 of those things happen, I'm going to be able to turn $20 into $370 and put it in my pocket. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. If you're also trying to run your game all season long, it's PrizePicks. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. I'm feeling pretty damn confident that I'm going to be $370 richer by the end of the season. Let's go. Could the Las Vegas Raiders cut Raheem Mostert? No. 0 just win, babies. Tuck rule, tuck that. And I saw an article, and again, when I very first started doing this show, I would see articles out there talking about the Raiders. I would give my 2 cents on it, and I saw an article from Pro Football Network, and it was titled, "One Player Who is Expendable on All 32 Teams After the 2025 NFL Draft." Mostert was picked for the Raiders for the obvious reason because they went out and drafted Ashton Jeanty at pick number 6 overall, the 2025 NFL Draft. But, let's be honest here with ourselves. The Raiders aren't going to cut Raheem Mostert. I think it's honestly just idiotic to even think that. And the reason why I want people to subscribe to the Raiders Report is because, there's going to be people that read that article. And you're not, the reason why I'm talking about it is simply because of when I get 5, 10 people that send me, hey, do you think Mostert could get cut? Hey, do you think Mostert could get cut? I roll my eyes to it a little bit, and I think a lot of people that watch the show roll their eyes to it because it doesn't make any sense to cut Raheem Mostert, even though you went out and drafted Ashton Jeanty. And this is why I want people to subscribe, because you're going to be a smarter Raiders fan. In today's day and age, there's a lot of stuff that gets put out there on the internet, and believe me, people are always yelling, clickbait, clickbait, clickbait. And there is a lot of clickbait out on the internet. But when you watch this show, I promise you, we don't do clickbait. Whether people can say it or they not, I know the real OGs that watch this show know that you will be a smarter Raiders fan if you hit that subscribe button. So here's why Pro Football Network's thought that the Raiders could move on from Raheem Mostert. All that leaves the rest of the backfield is an uncertain state. The Raiders still have Zamir White, while Sincere McCormick showed promise in a cameo starting role at the end of 2024. Las Vegas also signed Raheem Mostert to a one-year deal in free agency before they could have known they'd be landing Jeanty. While running back was a need even after Mostert's arrival, the veteran could be the logical candidate to be moved. The 33-year-old hasn't played on special teams much in a year, with 112 special team snaps over the last 5 seasons combined. McCormick showed enough promise that he shouldn't be phased out of the offense completely, but there will be scant touches behind Jeanty. If the Raiders feel comfortable with Jeanty and McCormick as a young duo capable of soaking up the backfield snaps, Mostert could be moved to a team that needs an upgrade as its running back too. I wish I could show y'all what Chuggs was doing when I said soaked up. It's pretty disturbing down below. Honestly, it's more disturbing than what happened to the Rockets in Game 7 against the Warriors. What up, Chuggs? So the reason why you're not going to move on from Raheem Mostert is because of what he does bring to this backfield. And I get it. Not everybody's going to know the Raiders' backfield the way that a lot of us do, and I totally hear that. But it's the connection. Kelly signed Mostert as a UDFA when he was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles in 2015 for 1 year. Now, don't get me wrong. Mostert bounced on a lot of different teams, but then when Kelly got a head coaching job for the San Francisco 49ers in 2016, I get it, only 1 year, he ended up signing him to that team as well. And the other part about McCormick is I love Sincere McCormick, right? Y'all probably love Sincere McCormick too, but he has finished the year now 2 straight years on IR with a season-ending injury. I know Ashton Jeanty is going to be that guy, but because of what Raheem Mostert adds to this offense, and let's not forget, dude had 18 rushing touchdowns or 21 rushing touchdowns, 21 touchdowns just a year ago, right, in 2023. I think it was 18 or 21. I don't know why those two numbers are in my head. But Mostert was a reliable back, and even if you have to give 80 to 90 touches this season just to give Jeanty a little bit of a break, Mostert does still have legit home run speed, and because he's got that connection to Chip Kelly, they're not going to move on from Raheem Mostert. And to even mention names like Sincere McCormick or Mostert, okay, I can understand why you'd want to keep McCormick over Mostert. To keep Zamir White over Mostert, though, come on, man. It's not going to happen. Let's go to the final story here on today's show, and is Amari Gaynor impressing coaches on the nation? We'll just say, yeah, man, he's already impressing everybody. This one's for Just Win, babies. Believe it, baby. And for people that have watched the show for a while, I can confidently say that I feel like I have been the number one person on the Amari Gaynor hype train, and I've been on this hype train for quite some time. But it's also because of what I was told by a player that, y'all love very, very near and dear to your heart. But Gaynor is already impressing the coaches, other players, and I'll just say the important people that Amari Gaynor needs to impress, they're noticing the time, the effort, and just the product that's being put out there. Pete Carroll loves guys who compete. And the fact that Gaynor is going to be somebody that goes out there and competes every single day, whether it's special teams, whether it's defense, that holds a lot of value to Spytek and Carroll. But let's not get it twisted. I bet y'all have seen the amount of hype around Amari Gaynor probably in the last week. What about the amount of hype that's been around there the last 2 weeks? When I hear things like I did around Gaynor, and again, if you're subscribed, you know that we've been talking about Gaynor being a sleeper for probably a month and a half now at this point, maybe 2 months. So now when you start hearing it even more, right leading up to Raiders rookie minicamp, that tells me where that smoke was 2 months ago, we're about to see some fire here in May. And one of my favorite quotes that I always think about, and again, we're going to show AP. Shout out to AP. I know he's not the head coach here anymore, but Antonio Pierce said something about Amari Gaynor that is forever stuck in my brain, and this quote will matter to some way, shape, or form to Pete Carroll because these are the type of players this regime is looking for. So this is what AP had to say about Amari Gaynor after that last preseason game last offseason. I think the best thing that happened for him was the last game. He went out there and played 90-plus snaps. 70-plus on defense, and another 15 or so on special teams. And all you saw throughout the game and all we've been seeing all preseason is a guy just getting better and better. But more importantly, somebody that just was playing his heart out, and it meant something to him. Every single thing that Antonio Pierce said in there is what every single Raider fan wants from a guy like Amari Gaynor, is what everybody wants from some of these bottom of the roster dudes that are looking to make that 53, that are looking to make an impact on the team. And he made a huge impact in the preseason last season. And the stats that you see up on screen are what he did from a defensive standpoint. I didn't add the 3 tackles that he got on special teams, but Gaynor was a very reliable player in every asset last year in the preseason. And again, I get it. It's the preseason. But I look at that 78.5 coverage grade, and I look at a player that you know that he got better and better. And you know that he's out there working his tail off. And then I look at this Raiders linebacking room, and if there's one thing that is missing to me, it is somebody that can cover. It is somebody that has the ability to cover some running backs, to cover a tight end, to cover the intermediate routes. Because I like Devin White, I like Landon Roberts, but those guys are downhill. Let them pin their ears back, be athletes, get north and south. Amari Burney, exact same thing. Tommy Eichenberg, Cody Lindenberg, both very good middle linebackers, but they don't have a lot of coverage ability. If you're telling me right now, who do I think might be the best coverage linebacker on the Raiders, which might not be saying a lot, I might go out and say that I think it's Amari Gaynor. So here's going to be a question, and I haven't asked you guys to type anything yet here during this segment. But out of these 4 linebackers, because from what it sounds like, Devin White and Landon Roberts, if the season started today, are going to be your 2 starters at linebacker. And this team honestly could use a lot of 1 linebacker sets, which is, something I was told over the weekend. But what is the biggest impact in 2025 out of these 4 players? If you think it's going to be Amari Gaynor, give me an AG. If you think it's the rookie, Cody Lindenberg, who they drafted in the 7th round out of Minnesota, give me a CL. If you think it's Amari Burney or Tommy Eichenberg, give me an AB or a TE. If I had to rank these 4 players, and based on how I think they're going to be making an impact this season, this is how I would rank them. And I know it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you might look at that and be like, man, Eichenberg's really low. It's honestly like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. And I think all 4 of these linebackers are going to make an impact here or there. But do you agree with me saying, I believe Amari Gaynor might be the best coverage linebacker that we have out of that 4? And if you sit there and you go, yeah, I can sit there and I could say that, then that's the missing piece that I think that we need. And because of that, I think that that's why he can be the biggest impact this season for the Raiders out of those 4 linebackers on screen. Appreciate all y'all tuning into the show. And I see my man Scott Fratt says, yes, I do. And I agree with you, Scott. I think that Amari Gaynor is really going to show up, show out. And I can't wait for the nation to see how much work he's been putting in this offseason, because dude's been putting in that effort. And that's all you can ask for from any young player leading into his season. All right, man. For those that don't know, I get married in literally a month from today. 1 month from today. Does anybody have any advice from a married man?
Wow.
What's some advice you can give me? Today's also 2 years ago. Alex and I got engaged.
I would say just get ready for every meeting that you have with family members after the wedding.
Yep.
To be centered around you and Alex having children.
Okay.
Every time that you meet with Alex's family or your family, you're gonna get the question, so are y'all trying?
I mean, we're trying.
Yeah?
I mean, she's on the IUD, so we're not gonna have kids, but we're trying. I'll tell you that. I think it's one of those things where Alex's mom, she's like, anytime you guys want to have kids, get another dog, which we're already thinking about getting another dog, at least I am. But any advice, please, don't be afraid. Communication, big luck. I actually feel like communication is my strong suit. Shady. Listening, on the other hand, I'm not the best listener.
Shady, it's cheaper to keep her.
Yeah. Somebody said Manscaped. Manscaped, yep. Yoda, put a ring on it. Luckily, I've already done that. Happy wife equals happy life. I know that one, and we're not even married yet, but I already know that one. I don't even want to know it. Evil Mitch, go live on the Raiders Report. I'll tell you this right now. There's probably only one person alive that could make me go live on my wedding day, and his name's Raider Ron. And that's just me being real with you. I don't think anybody else is crazy enough to make me go live on my wedding day besides Raider Ron. it'd be the largest number I've ever put out on this show. But you can't doubt the man, and I think all y'all are sitting at home right now going, there's probably one person. Yeah, it's probably that.
Two.
Who?
Derek Carr.
Why?
Because the Raiders traded for Derek Carr on your wedding day.
So Chuggs yesterday, so yesterday was our wedding walkthrough, and I get a phone call, and the only time Jeremy really ever calls me is if there's like big time breaking news. So I'm getting a phone call, and I'm like, oh no, what just happened? Again, I'm like doing all my wedding stuff, and Jeremy's like, I literally go, what happened? He's like, you panic for a second. The Raiders just traded for Derek Carr. I'm like, F you, dude. Like, F you. Though, the shit that we were talking about yesterday was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy.
It was wild. I can't share what we talked about. It is around an NFL team, and it is around some really juicy stuff that we heard. And that's all we're allowed to share. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
That's all we're allowed to share. How about that?
But, dude, yeah, that's the only other person.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be real. If Derek Carr got traded on my wedding night to the Raiders, there would be a small part of me that would be regretting not being able to go live. But that's just the sicko. Like, I take a lot of pride in what I do. I love what I do.
You'd at least go into the hall and make some shorts.
I would say I would make something. And again, but that's what it's about.
Brett pulls out a suitcase. He's like, I came prepared. He starts setting up the lights.
I mean, James and Brett will be there. You'll be there. So we can do it. Let's run it. I'm sure Alex won't care at all.
Jack and Slack sponsors PrizePicks.
What up, Bigfoot 91? Red Tossie was signed as UDFA. Do we still have
I think you mean David Agoa.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll have to look into this a little bit more because you're not the first person that has brought this up to me. But from my understanding, David Agoa is not on the roster anymore. I talked to somebody close to him. It sounded like he's looking for other career opportunities. And, if he was the International Pathway Program player still for the Raiders, that might not be the case. But Lassi Taki is on this team, no doubt about it. But he did get signed through the International Pathway Program. I mean, you can sign him as a UDFA, but I guess I would say this. Why would the Raiders do that? You know what I mean? It makes 0 sense for the Raiders to sign Laki Tassi as a UDFA. And I only say that because if you sign him as a UDFA and you're saying, no, we don't want him as an International Pathway Program player, then you're giving up that spot. Where if you're the Raiders, you're smart and you'd go, we're going to keep him as an International Pathway Program player. That way we can sign 16 UDFAs. Because he can be on the Raiders practice squad or he can be listed as a UDFA. David Agoa was listed as a UDFA technically last season, and that's why the Raiders were allowed to have 17 practice squad players when everybody else was allowed to have 16. But unless this has changed, I don't know. But to my knowledge, I don't think David Agoa is on the team. What up, Noah Suave? For the number 1 draft pick, I would take Iguodala. Andre. Rebel. I'll tell you what, that's a shit show right there. You want to get a shit show started in the future? Rebel, anybody out there, if anybody's ever feeling like a shit show, this is going to be the new Batman symbol. How do you pronounce that?
Breakfast.
I pronounce it the way that picture's breakfast. Breakfast. If the running back position is back and the boogeyman is the Raider running back 1, so I've seen Ashton Jeanty's new nickname, I guess, is Boogeyman. Will he be on a pitch count to keep him healthy? Potentially. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what the Raiders' plan is for Ashton Jeanty, but with that being said, you don't draft a running back at number 6 overall to put him on a pitch count, quite frankly. And I get, this is a team that wants to have a healthy Jeanty for the long haul, but you got to get the most out of your running back in his cheap rookie years because, Jeanty's going to get a payday, and we know that he's going to get a big payday at some point. I think it'd be pretty dumb to draft a running back at number 6 overall. Pitch count, to me, I anticipate Jeanty to have minimum 250 carries this season, and that is at the absolute minimum. I'm anticipating minimum 280 touches. if I was a betting man, which I am a betting man, I'm going to go out there and say he's going to get 280 carries. I anticipate another probably 30 to 40 catches. If you don't give Jeanty on a rookie contract and you don't try to work him, again, then why the hell did you do it? You know what I mean? So he's a phenomenal back. I get people are scared that running backs are going to get hurt, but it's also the National Football League, and you got to be prepared to play your position. You got to be prepared to go out there and do your thing, and he's got a guaranteed contract. Obviously, all rookies do, but pitch count to me is, I'd say 250 carries. That's a pitch count with Ashton Jeanty.
Raider Rob, sorry to hear that, man.
What happened?
He said get a prenup. I got hit by a gold digger.
I mean, I don't really have a lot of money. You know what I mean? In all honesty, like my family, like my mom, my dad, we didn't really grow up with much money. Alex's family, honestly, they should be the ones that get a prenup. Obviously, I think my career is going in the right direction.
Do you hear that, Alex? Get a prenup.
I hope it's going in the right direction, but
Chuck, if you're watching, tell Alex to get a prenup.
We had the prenup conversation, and I think all couples, should have that conversation. And obviously, nobody ever thinks that you're going to get divorced, blah blah blah, that whole thing. But at the same time, Alex and I were friends even when we didn't date, and I think if it went south, we would still be able to have a good enough relationship where, I would want her to be taken care of, and I hope she'd want me to be taken care of.
Rebel said, Rob, same thing happened to me. Rebel. All down, man.
Damn.
She'll take your money.
I was going to say,
Yeah, she's a trifling friend indeed.
Can I be honest with you? That's one song that I absolutely hate. And I don't know how it's popular. I think it's a terrible song.
What?
I don't think it's any good.
She'll take your money.
I'm sorry, maybe I just don't like his music. I never have really, but that was one song that when it was popular, could not understand.
From somebody who, if anybody's not going to like his music, probably should be me, I still kind of think that song's a banger.
Oh, yeah, I'll be real. I didn't even put that together necessarily, but you're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. Johnny Ramirez. Yeah, Ian. We got another one coming in from PG.
Oh, well, he also just said, please don't ever sing again. Sorry, Johnny.
Learn the phrase, you were right, honey. Sorry. I'm sure if I went up to Alex and I said, you were right, honey. Sorry. Raiders! That's what I'm going to do. The next time I say, you were right, honey, sorry, I'm going to scream Raiders just to see her face. PG, I appreciate the advice. I will definitely do my best. Everyone tonight, if you get an opportunity to look at your significant other, you look at them and say, you were right, honey, sorry. Wait 2 seconds and then yell Raiders. I want to see the results. I do get married in 1 month. Again, I appreciate all the advice that I've been getting from everybody. We did a 2-year engagement. It's pretty crazy that we've been engaged now for 2 years, literally today. Alex and I, we're going to go out for dinner, so I do have to try to get out of here in the next hour, so please just keep that in mind. The next 2 shows that we got coming up here, I'm going to talk about some players that I did not have in my 53-man roster projection, and I get it. It's a way too early version, but I also want to talk about 10 players that I led off that 53-man that I still think could have a shot and ended up making this roster. We're going to go through that, and then the very, very last segment here on today's show is if you want to get in the mailbag, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat in order to do so. John, hey, Mitch, this juicy rumor you and Chuggs are talking about, does it impact the Raiders? No.
Not at all.
Does not impact the Raiders even in the slightest. Doesn't impact the Raiders in the slightest. If it did, I would tell you. How about that? I would tell you. All right, Chuggs, you ready?
Yep.
Y'all ready to get this next segment up and popping? We got 500 people here in the building.
Y'all ready for this?
Y'all ready for this? All right, coming up, we're going to get into some prize roster candidates for the Las Vegas Raiders. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, we're going to be looking at some Raiders surprise roster candidates after the 2025 NFL Draft. These 10 players aren't projected to make my initial 53-man roster, and I ranked them from least to most surprising. So the person that you're going to see at 10 is going to be the least surprising guy to make the 53. The guy at number 1, I would say, is the most surprising out of the 10 players to make it. If you did not see my 53-man roster projection video, this video is going to be down in the comments and in the description of today's show. So all 10 players that you were going to see, I did not have here. And if you're like, well, where is a guy like Amari Gaynor? He's not on this show. Why? Because I think he ends up making the roster. Let's go to number 10 here on the show, and I'll be real with you. A lot of people probably have Charles Snowden making the 53-man. I left Snowden off my initial 53-man because of the court case on July 22nd, and I just don't really want to have a headache around this situation. So because of that, I decided to keep Andre Carter over Snowden. But, let's be real. Do I think that Snowden has a better than a 50% chance to make this roster? Yes, I do. He proved to be a valuable asset last season due to all the injuries that this team had. 39 tackles. He is a well-liked and respected player in that locker room, I am telling you. And, he had one unfortunate situation that I know about, and it is kind of a little bit of a cloudy situation. But when you got a brand-new regime in John Spytek and Pete Carroll, you don't want to have any cloudy situations leading up right before you're getting ready to get down to business in training camp. And the fact that it's July 22nd, maybe the Raiders did that on purpose. That way they know what exactly is going to happen with Snowden. But out of all the names that you see on this show, probably the least surprising name is Snowden. Let's go to number 9 here, and it's going to be Thomas Harper. And at safety, I don't know what the safety room is necessarily going to look like. And if this team decides to keep 4, 5, 6 safeties, maybe Harper, has got a shot to make it. But we got to be able to give him some credit. Last season, I thought he did pretty damn good in terms of being able to cover. And that's what I'm looking for from a free safety. We need to have a proven free safety that can cover. And I know that Harper's not a proven guy, but do I have more confidence in Harper to play center field than I do Isaiah Pola-Mao? Maybe. But I don't really have a lot of confidence in Isaiah Pola-Mao. Quite frankly, there isn't a single safety on this roster that I believe is starting free safety caliber in the National Football League. Does Patrick Graham, does Pete Carroll deserve a lot of love for some of the work they've done with some DBs? Yes, absolutely. And you're going to see a lot of versatility being used. But because Harper is one of our better safety guys, yes, it was an old regime, but because he showed last season some promise, you can't deny that. He showed some promise last season. Because he showed that, I wonder if that's a reason why maybe they end up keeping him on a 53-man. Let's go to number 8 here. It's going to be Sam Webb. And I know Webb has been able to stick around on this Raiders roster for a few seasons, back with McDaniels, with AP Telesco. And when you're able to be a practice squad guy and you're able to kind of stick around for as long as what Webb has had to do, you know that that's a player that goes out there and does the right things. He just doesn't have the athletic ability of a lot of these other players. Now, Webb, from a build standpoint, 6'2", 195. He's long, he's lanky, doesn't quite have the length for somebody that is usually 6'2", and doesn't have the athletic ability that I think that this regime's looking for from DBs. But there is a lot of unknown and unproven faces in this secondary, and if Webb can prove that he can play in the nickel, that's how he makes the squad. We don't need an outside corner. If Webb can prove that he is a good nickel option, he's got a legit shot to make this 53-man. Now, this is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. I want you to name a sleeper on the Raiders who you think is going to surprise people this season. Maybe it's somebody that I mentioned in this show. Maybe it's somebody that I don't mention in this show. But coming up after this YouTube ad break, we're going to keep this show going. And while that ad is playing, please go down and answer the pinned comment. Let's go to number 7 here. It's going to be Chris Smith entering the final year of his contract. And I would say the reason why he could make it is because of the leadership characteristics that he has, and also just the way that he is regarded in that locker room. He's a glue guy. And I know we haven't seen too much about Smith on the field, but he was a captain. He was a very well-respected player at Georgia. And he doesn't have the talent to be a consistent player in the NFL. But if Pete Carroll wants a guy that goes out there and competes, Chris Smith is going to do that. And because the safety room is very thin, He could end up making it. He could not. He's number 7 on this list. Let's go to another Georgia Bulldog, and it's going to be Zamir White at the running back position. I can't quite figure out why the Raiders would keep Zeus, but, Zamir White, when he's confident, he can run with some aggression. And if Zamir looks like the running back that we saw at the back end of 2023, I get it. Very, very different running systems, very different schemes in general. But I do sit back and I wonder, how much of the Zamir White struggles were also due to, Gardner Minshew being terrible, to Luke Getsy being terrible, to that offensive line being just downright atrocious. Zamir doesn't have good running vision. That is a cold, hard fact. But what happens if Sincere McCormick isn't ready to go come week 1? Or is this going to be a team that relies on a Dylan Laube, a Chris Collier? Yes, Laube has some connections, and he's got that New Hampshire connection also to Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly was a New Hampshire dude. But this is a team that, despite drafting Jeanty, Raheem Mostert, they're going to keep 4 running backs. And if McCormick is not 100% healthy, then I could see this team potentially trying to keep Zamir. Though, I'd almost make the argument, if you got to rely on Zamir White, you might just be better off going out than trying to get a whole nother running back on the open market. Before we get into our top 5 surprise roster candidates, if you're looking to get your hands on a Raiders jersey, go to chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. If you're looking to get your hands on an Ashton Jeanty jersey, I know Jeanty picked out the number 2. This is just the placeholder jersey that we got from the NFL draft because he was the Raiders' first-round pick. That's why it says number 1. If you order the jersey by going to chatsports.com/Jeanty or chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys, don't worry, it'll be a Jeanty number 2 jersey. Let's go to number 5 here on our list. It's going to be Mello Dotson, cornerback from Kansas. And this is really where I would say, we're starting to get into that more surprise area. Dotson, I was kind of surprised he went undrafted. And, he led the Kansas Jayhawks in terms of interceptions returned for a touchdown throughout a career. 4 years of starting, 49 tackles, 5 interceptions, 6 PBUs. And I know that the Jayhawks weren't really considered a good football program, but from 2021 over the past few seasons, this has been a team that's gotten better and better. And I think Dotson deserves a lot of credit, and a lot of those Jayhawks players deserve credit for being able to take a program and actually turning it into something. And because of that, I do think that that's one of those lower level items that this regime is going to be looking at is I want guys that have been there and done that. And I want guys that have been able to show that they can change a locker room. And I understand that college football is much different from the NFL, but this is going to be a very open cornerback battle. And if Dotson goes out there and outshines a dude like the Camryn Richardson, I think Dotson could take that job. Let's go to number 4 here. It's going to be Tyreek McAllister. Whether you want to list him as a running back, whether you want to list him as a wide receiver, I listed him here as a running back because I don't really think that he makes the roster as a wide receiver, but what this Raiders team values is versatility. And because you look at a guy like Tommy Mellott, great athlete who they drafted wide receiver quarterback, Tyreek McAllister also brings speed. And this team values speed. They value athletes. And maybe they want to line up McAllister in the punt return and the kick return game. But maybe they also want to use him as somebody like a gadget player at running back if, McCormick's down, if Zamir White's unable to go. And you just have McAllister as just having that extra dude. On top of that, though, he does have a connection with some of the Raiders special teams coaches. And because he has such a connection with some of these special teams coaches, that could just be the underlining reason of him making the roster compared to somebody like Zamir White who offers you nothing in terms of special teams. Let's go to number 3 here. It's going to be Zach Carter at defensive tackle. Showed some bright spots last season, I thought, for the Raiders on a very, very banged up defensive line. And I know that we got Patrick Graham, Rob Leonard, and this Raiders team went out and they drafted Tonka Hemingway. They went out, they drafted J.J. Pegues. You go out and you sign Lucky Fotu. There's a lot of depth to be had here. But I was told this probably last week, and I think I said it on the Raiders Report show, that this could be a team that they might only keep a few defensive ends and decide, you know what, we got a bunch of DTs that offer us a lot of versatility, and we're going to try to keep more defensive tackles on this roster. For a dude that had 22 tackles, I don't anticipate that he makes this squad, but it might only take a injury. And I know Matthew Butler was a player that was drafted. Zach Carter has a much better chance to make the Raiders roster than somebody like Matthew Butler. That I can flip and promise you. Before we get into our top 2 players that could make the team, but it would be the biggest surprise, if you don't know, we are giving away an Ashton Jeanty jersey. The 2 ways that you can enter, you can either send in a $5 super chat while we are live, or you can send in a super thanks to be entered if you're too busy or if you're unable to join our live shows. Winner is going to be announced Friday, May 30th. If you're like, Mitch, what the hell is a super thanks? If you go on your phone, this is what it would look like. If this is like underneath a Raiders video, see this button right here? Click that bad boy. It's going to look just like a super chat. $5 super thanks. You're ready to rock and roll. If you use YouTube or when you watch the show, if you do that on your desktop, this is how it's going to look. You'd have to click those 3 little buttons up over there next to share. You're going to get a drop-down menu. You click on super thanks, and then you're ready to rock and roll. I know not everybody is tech savvy. Hell, I'm not tech savvy. The only thing I'm tech savvy with is YouTube. For people that did get into our Jeanty Super Thanks raffle, at least since last Friday or Thursday, Truman, Richard, Jimmy Willis, Anthony, Nick Rossman, and 916 Raider, y'all are in. So right now as it stands, we have 15 people in due to Super Thanks and a lot more to do to Super Chats. Appreciate everyone who always tunes in. But I wanted to give people the opportunity who don't always have the ability to watch this show live, participate in some of the giveaways that we do here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to number 2 here on our surprise roster candidates. It's going to be Jaw Joyner, edge rusher, UDFA from Minnesota. And for a guy like Joyner, 32 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles last season. In college, this was a player that we had ranked in our top 200. This is a dude that I thought was going to go in the top 5th, maybe like 6th round area. And because of the unknowns, let's just call it, at edge with a guy like Tyree Wilson, with a guy like Charles Snowden, if I'm the Raiders and I want to take a Max Crosby, a Malcolm Kuntz, a Tyree Wilson, and then I also want to be able to keep one of these younger players, maybe they decide to keep Joyner. I mean, I know that the Raiders value defensive line play, and if Joyner's able to show that he's a good enough athlete, because that's probably the biggest question mark right now around him. He did generate 31 pressures, though, in 2024, was able to generate 46 pressures in 2023. Anytime you're a UDFA, you got to be able to put on the motor, and you got to be able to go out there and do your thing. I don't think it's a great chance that he makes it, but there is at least a chance. To me, though, the most surprising roster candidate that does have a shot to make it, I'm going to go with Jalen Walker, linebacker, UDFA. He played for Indiana last season, and he had 82 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. But this is maybe not so much about Jalen Walker compared to more about this Raiders linebacking room. And, last offseason, we kept 7 linebackers on our 53-man because there was just a lot of question marks around who's going to make the roster and who's not going to make the roster. But for a guy like Walker, he didn't get a lot of opportunities to show that he could cover, and that's probably just because of Big Ten football. But when he was given the opportunity, I thought that he did a halfway decent job. He had 8 pass breakups, 2 interceptions for the Indiana Hoosiers last season. But then again, if he's able to go out there in camp and show that he is a reliable player, and a reliable player just in terms of coverage ability on top of special teams, that's how he makes this roster. And I know that he transferred from James Madison. He was at Madison the 2 years before that. He might have even been at Madison the 3 years before that, but I think it was definitely 2 years, in 2023 and 2022. And Walker was one of the players, and I know there was a lot of players from JMU that ended up transferring to Indiana, and I can't think of what the Indiana head coach's name. Say it again? Signetti, that's it. Thanks, Chuggs. And, when you think about a head coach that gets a new job, he takes certain players that he wants to go with him. So the fact that Signetti got a bump up from JMU to go to Indiana, and he decided to take Jalen Walker with him, I'm always a believer that when you see coaches do that, and it's a little bit easier now with the NIL, a little bit easier with the transfer portal, but that's important. And I think the Raiders noticed that, and I would say that Walker is one of the better UDFA linebackers across the entire NFL. So because of the need, because of the fit, because of his athletic ability, I think Jalen Walker could be a player that might make the roster that wasn't on my initial 53-man. Appreciate all y'all tuning in again. If I missed anybody during our live show, or if there is a player that you're like, dude, I don't know how you left this guy off the list, hit me up on IG or on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365, and if you want to take a screenshot of my surprise roster candidates, and if you want to yell at me, all I ask is this. at least go check out my 53-man roster video. That way you know which players I think are going to make it and which players aren't going to make it, because there's definitely some names that I wanted to put on this show, but I was like, well, if I project them to be on my 53-man, I don't really know if they could be a surprise roster candidate. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Can't wait for this season, and I can't wait for Raiders Rookie Minicamp, which starts May 9th. All right, y'all, give me a name. Name a sleeper on the Raiders who's going to surprise people this season. My answer is going to be Amari Gaynor, because I think that's like sleepers. Like sleeper is somebody who a lot of people don't know about, but I'm going to go with Amari Gaynor. You got a name for me?
Let's go DeCamerion Richardson.
Okay. I like it.
Give me DeCamerion Richardson. You're starting outside corner week 1 alongside Jacorian Bennett.
Ooh, so that's really interesting. You know, DeCamerion, if I was Richardson and you get drafted by a regime, and I'm sure like when you're a rookie and there's a new regime that's about to come in, that's probably a very, it's probably not a great feeling. If you're Richardson, though, and you get somebody...
Sorry.
What?
We started talking about Ashton Jeanty, so a sad Bears fan came in here because he's really upset that the Bears didn't get Ashton Jeanty.
And Rebel said, not today. Not today. Sorry.
Sweetheart.
Not today. But if you're DeCamerion Richardson, you're probably going, you know what? I love this new regime. I love the fact that I get to work with Pete Carroll, because DeCamerion Richardson is what Pete Carroll looks for. Great athlete, raw, long, lanky. I like the answer.
So raw.
Dalton Wagner makes the 53-man from John Fallon. Interesting. I would be shocked about that one.
I was hurt when our guy McClendon didn't make the team last year.
Well, that pissed me off, because the fact that McClendon Curtis, I mean, he's good. Like, he's actually a good offensive. I think he started a few games for the Seahawks. McClendon Curtis was one. Who was the linebacker? I think he also went to Seattle from NC State.
Yeah.
The white guy, I can't think of his name.
I know who you're talking about, though.
Son of a gun. He was one that I was really happy about. I got to meet Adam Plant Jr. and his family. That was definitely a name that, I think about a Raiders UDFA. Madre Harper. I did get to interview Madre Harper. He's still playing for the UFL.
No,
Drake Thomas. Good call. Good pull there.
Curtis didn't get any snaps last year.
No, I thought he did.
No, and he actually ended up with the Cardinals.
Interesting. I thought
according to PFF.
Oh, okay. I mean, I know that he went to Seattle, and then he ended up – I thought at least he was on that squad over there. PG, Michael Mayer, I hope that you're right on that one. I really, really do. Money Chuck, Charles Grant earned starting right guard by week 6. He's not a guard, so I don't really think that one's going to happen.
Drake Thomas did play 5 games last year.
I'll say Drake Thomas was a good one. Darnay Holmes, I'm guessing, is what you're saying there, Roy, by Holmes. Michael Mayer from PG. Eichenberg from Seth. Okay. I see you. Trey Taylor, Raider Rob. Trey Taylor, I would really love for him to be able to get in there. Learn the phrase. Oh, yep, we already did that one. You were right, honey. Sorry. Go Raiders. I'm going to try it. I'll see how it goes. I know I always joke, but my advice would be always let your actions be led by love, specifically in disagreements, and if needed, seek wise counsel. Yeah, I mean, if
I can be your wise man.
Yeah. Okay.
Like Paul Heyman.
There you go. I'll say this. I think Alex and I actually have a very, we're really good at being able to communicate. She was definitely more of I'm not going to communicate when we had an argument before, where I'm always the let's talk it out. If anything, now I've learned that I got to give her space if she needs it in the first 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it might be. But this is probably one of the biggest things that Alex and I try to work on is don't react in anger. If it's you're not happy about something, cool off a little bit and then revisit it. And you just got to let both sides, talk it out. What up, Raider Shield? What up, Nab? My 32 years of marriage, she is always my best friend first. And my thought of the day is, how can I do better? Always want to be better for her.
Navman's such a giver.
You're right, though, Nav. I'm a morning person, right? So, on the weekends, I know Alex struggles to get out of bed. So you make her a cup of coffee, get a little bit of breakfast going, helps her get out of bed. That's it, unfortunately. I haven't been able to dish out anything else besides that for breakfast. What up, Rick Kelly? Nah, man. Also, I saw you're going live today at like 8 o'clock. I saw the other Nav Man live the other day. It was like with 6 people on there. You're really doing it, Nav, and I'm proud of you, dude. Rick, really need that Jeanty jersey. I think Chill Kelly, just chill guy, dude. I like Chill. I think if his name was Chill Kelly, I'd have more confidence in him. I love Chip Kelly. I do. Chill Kelly, that's a Hall of Fame name right there. Can make maybe a great, perfect receiving back for his offense. I actually don't agree with that. I think Ashton Jeanty is incredible, and he is one of the best running backs that has come out of the draft in a very long time, right? Like, I mean, that's a fact. But to call him the perfect receiving back in his offense, I actually think the perfect receiving back in Chip Kelly's offense is Trevion Henderson, if I'm just being honest. And I'm not even saying that because of the Ohio State connection. I'm saying that just based on his skill set. But Jeanty's a great back in the Chip Kelly offense. Ashton Jeanty's a great back, I think, in any offense, quite frankly. And I think Chip Kelly's going to be able to do what Chip Kelly needs to do with almost any running back. Kelly is one of the best minds in football. You can say what you want about a head coach, but he's a damn good offensive caller. And that I don't think that you can disagree with. All right, y'all, we are all caught up on the soups, which means we are going to do a mailbag, and then we are going to hop on out of here, just so you know. Again, I have a anniversary dinner with Alex. We did plan on doing an interview with a Raiders player that was drafted this year. Unfortunately, though, I got a text from his agent that said we're going to have to reschedule. We're still going to end up, getting him on here. We're still going to do a signed jersey giveaway, and we're still going to be able to, raise some money for a charity, which I'm really, really excited about. But unfortunately, I was told that he had a meeting with coaches that was mandatory. So, Raiders Report interview, mandatory meeting with coaches. Unfortunately, I'm not going to win that one, but quite frankly, I shouldn't win that one. You know what I mean? Like, if players are skipping mandatory meetings to join this show, I would get pissed off about it. I'd probably do a show about it, quite frankly. So we will get that player on at some point this offseason. Just bear with me. We're gonna roll through the punches because sometimes things happen and schedules are unpredictable. It's all good. Jeff, y'all hiring soon? Yeah? In all honesty, yeah, we will be hiring soon. We usually hire May, June, July is that time of the year where Chat Sports brings in some people. And we did lose a few people over the past week, so we'll be bringing some peeps in.
Jeff, it won't be for that, though. It'll be for a producer.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, I'm not going to lie, it'd be a lot of grunt work, and once you prove that you can get through the grunt work, then...
And you would never cover the Raiders, is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to cover another team.
Bro, I'm versatile.
Yeah, you got to cover another team, and if that's, I can do it all. Somebody said, Warriors? We already have a Warriors guy. I can cover everyone. See, now you're just starting to sound like a defensive back. Now you're starting to sound like Jack Jones. All right, you ready to get in this mailbag?
I'm ready to sack it up.
You guys ready to get into this mailbag here?
Drop your bags and cut your sacks.
Oh, man. That is hilarious. Noah, you sent a new address on Venmo. Uh-oh. I will have to check it out then, Suave. Because I know I haven't sent out anything yet from the draft. We've just been so backed up with our Raiders orders, quite frankly.
We need more fiber.
Yeah. Honestly, if somebody wants to help us ship some stuff out.
So, somebody in this, I'll tell you off screen, somebody in this office needs more fiber.
Oh, I heard about your story.
You did?
Well, I didn't know who it was, but I heard somebody was struggling in the bathroom.
Oh, we found out who it was.
Do they work here? All right.
We were watching. I don't want to
know.
We were watching his video before live, and he wasn't producing.
Yep. All right. It checks out. It checks out.
Struggling.
Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to get your questions on this show. So we're stopping talking about that shit show. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Coming up, mailbag time.
Roy, you said 27 years of marriage, never stop dating. Are you mean like never stop dating your wife, or like?
I was gonna say that's the craziest advice I've ever seen. What's the key to your happy marriage? Date other people. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I hope it's like they always say that, you know, when you get married, you should like never like take them out for dinner still. Like Alex and I, we try to go out. I mean, now that we're saving up for the wedding, we don't do it nearly as often.
Nothing against you, Roy, if you mean it the other way either.
Yeah, Roy, hey, you know, if you're hitting from both sides of the plate, you got Sling TV, you know, congratulations, I guess. I don't know. I'm not much of a Sling TV guy.
More of a direct cable guy.
Yep. Yeah. As direct cable as it gets, quite frankly. Though I do enjoy sometimes a good Netflix and chill. All right, mailbag time. Hashtag Raiders Super Chat. Get those questions, comments on the show right now. It's mailbag time here on the Raiders Report. A friendly reminder that this show was recorded when we went live on Tuesday, May 6th. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button if you want to join all of our future mailbags. And if you ever see any of the questions that we get on this show, they are from super chatters that are subscribed or people are using hashtag Raiders. Let's go to the first one from Breakfast. If the running back position is back and the boogeyman is the Raiders RB1, will he be on a pitch count to keep him healthy? I wouldn't keep Ashton Jeanty on a pitch count because if you are keeping a running back that you're paying as cheap as what you're paying Jeanty right now, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I would say a pitch count for Jeanty this season is if he has less than 270 touches, and that might not be what you're considering a pitch count, but I fully anticipate Ashton Jeanty to get over 300 touches every single year that he is a Las Vegas Raider. Let's go to Bigfoot. Red Tossie was signed as a UDFA. Do we still have David Agoa? Well, I know that David Agoa was the old Raiders International Pathway Program player, and Laki Tossie is now, from what I understand, the new International Pathway Program player. I'll say this, David Agoa, I just reached out to somebody while this question was asked before our live show. David Agoa is not on the Raiders roster, but it also I don't think makes any sense to put Tossie as a UDFA because you get that extra roster spot when he's a part of the International Pathway Program. And also Agoa was a part of that, last year as well. Like, we can have 17 practice squad guys because of the International Pathway. What up, Jeremiah? Which nickel corner would you trade for? I don't necessarily know if there's a single nickel corner off the top of my head right now that I would trade for, but there are still some good nickels out there on the open market. Like, I do think like a Mike Hilton at age 31 is somebody to keep in mind. Troy Hill is another name that I threw out there, but that's just because of his connection with John Spytek. Who knows? Maybe the Raiders, instead of going out and paying Nate Hobbs all the money that Green Bay did, Nate Hobbs ended up going to Green Bay. Like, maybe you're like, I can get Eric Stokes, DeCamerion Richardson, Jacorian Bennett, and, Darian Porter, and just have a rotation of all those players with a lot of versatility. There's going to be a lot of players that do some versatile. Like Isaiah Paul-Mal is going to play in the nickel. I bet you see Jeremy Chin a little bit in the nickel. This is going to be a team that uses a lot of different players. But if I could, I'd go out and sign Mike Hilton. What up, Raider Rob? If we cut Zamir, would Dobbins be a good pickup? I don't think we need to. I don't think J.K. Dobbins needs to be on our radar, and it has nothing to do with Zamir White. But you already have Raheem Mostert, who's going to be your good backup, and quite frankly, I think Mostert's going to be able to get, 100 touches this season. And for somebody that struggled with health but has been a home run threat his entire career, that's good value. And Dobbins, sure, you might be able to get him for like $4 million or something like that. But you got Ashton Jeanty, and I'm going to rely on Ashton Jeanty to be that dude. It's not going to be the way I would spend my free agent dollars. What up, Patrick? Could the Raiders sign Justin Simmons? What chance do we have? I'll admit, I don't think it's the highest chance of probability that they go out and get Simmons. I'd give it one just win, baby, if I'm being totally transparent here. What could help out Simmons is he was a Bronco for many years. I want to say it was probably, 2016 to 2023. And when he was a member of the Denver, or 2019, right, to 2023. Actually, I don't know the exact years that he was a Bronco. But when he was drafted in Denver, it's 2016 to 2023. I don't know why I doubted myself. But if you guys remember, and I can't think of the name that the Raiders just hired recently to be a part of their front office, but he was a member of the Denver Broncos for multiple years before that. And I do think that when you consider what organizations do, they're always going to look at, past members. And for the Raiders to bring in somebody that's a part of this new regime, I can't think of his name. It's Brian Stark. That's it. Brian Stark, who was with Denver for so many years and was a part of like that scouting department who drafted Simmons. That would be like the logical reason why I could think that the Raiders end up bringing him in. But there's probably other free safeties out there that have a higher probability to being signed by the Raiders than Justin Simmons. But if they did it, dude, I'd be ecstatic. I think it's one of our biggest needs right now. If you want Raiders Report mailbags all off season long, hit that subscribe button, join the Noti gang, and make sure you pull it for all of our live shows. I would love to have you guys here. Let's keep it moving here on the Raiders Report. And reminder, all these questions are from our live show on Tuesday. Been wondering what kind of offense Chip is going to implement. Sneaking suspicion that Bowers and Mayer are going to get some good work. I think that both of those players are going to get used. I think Mayer is actually going to get used this year the way that we're hoping that he's going to get used. Also, you're going to see a lot of zone running, but I think that this offense is going to look very similar to the offense that Chip Kelly tried to run last season at Ohio State. They're going to try to spread you out. They're going to run the rock. They are going to do, I think, a little bit of a slower tempo offense, and that's going to help, slow the game down. They're going to try to attack vertically, which is what Ohio State did last season. It's what Geno Smith is really good at. And even though Smith isn't a mobile quarterback, the way that Will Howard was used, where it was just a threat to use his legs to pick up a first down, I think is the exact same way that the Raiders are going to go out there and they're going to try to use, Geno Smith. Let's go to Aaron. Do you think we run Jacoby as a 1 or a slot this year? All of the above. And that's going to be the cool part about this Raiders offense is, you can line Brock Bowers up in the slot or at the number 1. You can line up Jacoby Myers as the 1 or in the slot. You can line up Jack Besh as in the 1 or in the slot. When you put out an offense that at any given moment, anybody can play the X, anybody can play the Y, anybody can play slot. And quite frankly, Jack Besh could be a tight end. Michael Mayer obviously is a tight end. Brock Bowers could play tight end and wide receiver. When you have that much versatility and at any moment you can hand the ball off to a guy like Ashton Jeanty and he can take it 60, 70, 80 yards to the house, but also he can ram it down your throat 10, 20 yards and you're going to feel that. I think that the best thing that the Raiders have going for them right now is how versatile this offense can be. And then you can throw in a guy like Trey Tucker, Tommy Millott, Dante Thornton Jr. to stretch out the field. This offense is going to be a fun offense to watch. What up, Christian? You're next up here on the Raiders Report. I still think Mayer gets traded before the year ends. Who is a team that would try to get him? I'll be real with you. I actually don't know if Mayer is actually going to get traded. If he does, he does. It is what it is. I'll say right now the team that I would say is the most likely to make a deal for Mayer. How about the Philadelphia Eagles? We just hired, what's his name? Anthony Patch from Philadelphia. There's been a lot of Dallas Goedert rumors in Philly that they can move on from him because they don't want to pay him all that money. What if Goedert goes somewhere else? Philly's looking for a tight end. We just hired somebody. There's a relationship there. Maybe Mayer ends up going there. Maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars could be another team that I would keep in mind for a tight end. So I want to know down below. Chug said this is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. Give me a yes or a no. Will Michael Mayer, I don't know who typed that one. Did I do that? Will Mayer be traded this season? Give me a yes. Give me a no. My answer is going to be after this YouTube ad break. I'm going to say that Michael Mayer will not be traded this season, and I only say that because there's going to be ways that they can use him. And I do really honestly think that Bowers is going to be used as a wide receiver a lot more than what some people anticipate, and that's a good thing. But if you're going to go out there with a 3 wide receiver set and you're really going to spread them out, Brock Bowers, Jack Best, Jacoby Myers, all 3 of those receivers can block. All 3 of those guys are great possession guys. And then on top of that, you're going to be able to use Michael Mayer as a tight end. I know his name continuously gets thrown out there left and right, but I don't really think we need to trade Mayer. I think that he's going to have plenty of opportunities to show that he can be a good football player. Let's go to Eric M. Who is a free safety and linebacker you would want to sign before camp? Well, there's 2 camps, right? There's mandatory camp, which is mandatory minicamp June 10th, and then there's training camp, which is in July. I don't know if the answer really changes all that much. If it was up to me, I want a guy that we can get in there right for June to keep on working, and maybe you see some of these moves happen post-June 1st. But free safety, if I had to pick, I'd go Julian Blackmon, Justin Simmons, a name along that regard. At linebacker, it's probably Kaiser White, Juwan Bentley, but I don't have a lot of confidence in any of those dudes. Like maybe Jermaine Pratt if the Bengals decide to let him go. But the linebacker talent that's available in the open market, it's not very good right now. Let's go to Michael Avila. If Cam Miller plays lights out, does he become quarterback 2? He's got a shot to become quarterback 2, but the way that I would look at this Raiders quarterback situation is Cam Miller's going to make Aiden O'Connell better. Aiden O'Connell's going to make Cam Miller better. Both of those guys are going to be competing. And if both of those guys get better, that's going to make Geno Smith better, which is ultimately the only thing that I care about. Let's go a little flapjack. Put me in for the Jeanty jersey. Yes, sir, you are in. Anybody drafted in Dynasty this year? I had the 1-1. Yeah, I mean, if you get the number 1 pick, you're going Ashton Jeanty. And I think, quite frankly, it's been the easiest 101 pick probably since, a guy like Saquon Barkley ended up getting drafted where we all knew what was going to happen. Maybe Bijan Robinson could be thrown out there in that mix as well. Ashton Jeanty, though, is the 101 in Dynasty drafts. Hell, I bet you Ashton Jeanty goes round 1 in a lot of regular drafts as well. Not first pick, but round 1 in a lot of regular drafts as well. Speaking of Jeanty, if you guys are trying to get in for a chance to win an Ashton Jeanty jersey, $5 super chat if you're watching us live. If you're unable to watch us live, though, you can super thanks. And the winner is going to be announced Friday, May 30th. If you're like, Mitch, what the hell is a super thanks? If you're on your mobile app, on your phone, right? And if you look at a video, you can go down to the video that you're on. You click this button right here. It's called Super Thanks, and it's just like sending in a super chat. If you watch the Raiders Report on your desktop, then this is what you're going to see. You're going to click those 3 buttons over there. You're going to get a little drop-down menu. You're going to click on Super Thanks, and you're going to be able to donate that way. $5 Super Thanks or Super Chat if you want to be entered in for a chance to win an Ashton Jeanty jersey. Winner is going to be announced live Friday, May 30th. Let's go to DeMokes. What up, my brother? AOC MVP incoming. Unfortunately, not going to be the case this year, DeMokes. I will give you this one, though. What about Ashton Jeanty? Rookie of the Year. Ashton Jeanty, Rookie of the Year. I'm on board with that one. What up, John Fallon? You're next up. I heard Pickens and Steelers are far apart on a contract. Do you think that we could fleece the Steelers for him for like a 7th-round pick and hope he changes his attitude with a new team? You must be new to the show, and that's totally okay. I'm not a George Pickens fan. I think he's a cancer, and he's not somebody that I would want on my team. If you told me right now that this is Madden and I can turn off emotions, yeah, George Pickens is a player that I think, quite frankly, would be a great fit on the Raiders. His downfield ability, his blocking, his toughness, it all makes sense, but he doesn't have it up here. And when you don't have it up here, that's going to be a problem, especially for a team that they're going to want to run the football, right? Like, they're going to want to be a physical brand of football, and he's already unhappy with a physical brand of football with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we need wide receivers that put the team first. I don't want another diva in Devontae. I want a Jacoby Myers who's humble, who's going to be like, you know what? All I care about is us winning. If I got to block, cool. A guy like Jack Besh, exact same mindset. A guy like Brock Bowers, exact same mindset. I don't need drama from George Pickens. And because of that, I'm not interested in George Pickens. Let's go to Jared. Which safety do you think that we are most likely to get in free agency if we get one? The names I'll probably go with, I think Jordan Whitehead is a name I'll consider just because he's got some Buccaneers ties with John Spytek. Quandre Diggs played 5 years in Seattle, had like 3 Pro Bowl seasons. How about this one? This one's kind of a new one. Jalen Mills. Jalen Mills getting up there in age. I get it at safety. Did play for the Philadelphia Eagles at one point, but because the Raiders just went out and they hired Anthony Patch, who's been, the director of college scouting for Philadelphia, that could be a name. But Marcus Williams, I did a video on some Raiders free agent targets at free safety if you want to go check out that video. But if I was a betting man, I'd say the most likely safety that we would add would be Quandre Diggs. And that's because of his connection with Pete Carroll. Let's go to Seth. Do you think Tommy Eichenberg can get more reps this season, maybe even start? Can he get more reps? Absolutely. I think any linebacker on the Raiders, not named to Landon Roberts, has an opportunity to start this season. Devin White, Tommy Eichenberg, along the lines of Amari Burney, Amari Gaynor, all those dudes have a potential to get more reps this season because anybody at linebacker can go out there, prove it to this new regime, and you're going to get opportunities to get out there on the field. Do I think he's going to be that dude, though? No. I really, really do not think so. Let's go to Big Luck. Are we planning a Houston takeover? So the Raiders and Texans do play this season, and that game is in Houston. Chuggs and I are planning on taking a trip down to Houston. So whenever that schedule's released May 14th, which is next Wednesday, by the way, and we will, break down the Raiders schedule. I'm also going to be releasing when we're going to start doing Raiders Madden live sim games, which is kind of a wild thing to even consider and talk about. But when the Raiders and Texans, whenever that date is announced, if him and I are both free, we're going to go down to Houston. We're going to party with the nation. But I'm not going to lie to you. Chuggs, I'm going to let him hang out with some of his Texans guys. And I think it'll also be kind of fun to go see Chuggs and his Texans element. But we're also going to be hanging out with the nation as well. And, it's going to be a lot of fun. But I do plan on doing a Houston takeover. I've also never been to Houston. I know I'm not driving. Chuggs is going to drive. But I'll pay for gas. So it'll be a lot of fun. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Again, if I did not get your question, you can always ask me on Twitter, on Instagram. Got to give me a follow at Mitchell Renz 365. Be real with me. Do you want the Raiders to sign Amari Cooper? S for sign, P for pass. We continuously, and I don't know why, continuously get these Amari Cooper rumors popping up left and right. I'm passing. And again, I don't want Amari Cooper on my team. I just don't think he's any,
I don't want
Is Amari Cooper better than Jacoby Myers right now? No, it's not even close. Is Amari Cooper better than Brock Bowers right now? No, it's not even close. Is Amari Cooper better than Jack Besh right now? Honestly, I don't know if he is. I don't know. I mean, the last 2 years, Cooper has been bad. The Buffalo Bills played 3 playoff games last season, and he got benched in 2 of them. He didn't start in 2 of them. They went out and they paid Khalil Shakir. I think that good football teams make smart decisions, and when you see teams moving on from Amari Cooper left and right, it's not because he's not talented. We know Amari Cooper's talented. But Cooper also gave up on the Raiders. Would you date the girl that gave up on you 7-8 years ago? I hope not. I hope not. What up, Suave? Chug's advice would be to keep, I don't even know, the current wife. Do you get that?
Huh? Oh, yeah. I said I remember one Thursday night I called Danny my current wife.
Oh, no, you're right. Now I remember that. Dude, that was I can remember that show, and I can remember you saying it, and you're like, and my current wife, and it was like, oh, shit. What did I just say moment? It was a good one.
Yeah, not my best moment, Noah.
What up, Lord Buddy Bear?
Dude.
Shout out to Buddy. So yesterday when we were watching the Knicks game, I banged on Knicks. It was 100-100 when I banged. Shout out to Buddy Bear. He pulled up. He banged as well on Knicks.
Well, no,
Thank you for having my back.
Did you see what he did in the pregame?
No.
He dropped a 3-hundo.
Buddy Bear, no shit. Is it too early to tell about comp picks next year? It is and it isn't is how I'm going to answer this question, because part of the comp picks formula is how much players play, right? So if Robert Spillane, Nate Hobbs, if all these guys that we didn't bring back, if they get injured, then the comp picks don't look as good. I would say right now, if I had to guess, based off of what I believe the comp formula looks like, we're going to get a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, no doubt about it. After that, though, there's still some unknowns, but the answer is yes, there's some information about comp picks and what the projected picks are going to be. But again, the part of that equation also is how much playing time some of those dudes get. And the dudes that I'm talking about are Trevon Merrick, Robert Spillane, Nate Hobbs. Just those are ones off the top of my head. But Buddy Bear, dude, you're a legend, man. I'm telling you, you're a chat sports legend, Buddy Bear. I hope you know that. We greatly, greatly appreciate everything that you do, man. Let's go to Swoops, Jeanty jersey. What would a trade for a linebacker look like now past or post-draft? If you told me right now the Raiders make a trade for a linebacker, I'd say the most likely one is Jermaine Pratt, and that's only because it's been reported that, he's looking to get out of Cincinnati post-June 1st. But I would say, honestly, if a trade like this happens, because it's been reported that they're probably going to cut him, 7th-round pick in 2026 is probably what it end up costing. And I think that's honestly a lot of the trades that happen at this time of the year. It's because something happened during the draft. Maybe a player's not happy that a team went out and got a certain guy, and because that happened, they're unhappy. But teams have already spent their free agent dollars. They've already gone out and they've allocated some picks to the drafts. Like, they know what they want. I'd say it'd be like a 7th-round pick in 2026. I mean, like, if we traded right now, I'm trying to think of like an actual, like, again, linebacker is a weird position.
Christian Harris for the Texans.
Christian Harris? What would he be worth? I have no idea.
5th rounder.
5th rounder? Yeah, 5th round pick in 2026. I just don't think that that's what the Raiders want to do, because I believe the Raiders are really trying to stockpile some of those picks. Now, if they thought that this is a guy that is an instant starter for them, then it's a different conversation. The problem with the Raiders linebacker room is I think that they want to see what they got. And there's just a lot of unknowns, and especially a position like linebacker where I know Antonio Pierce was our old linebacker coach turned head coach, but when you think about the amount of turnover that the linebacking coach position has had for the Raiders, it's a lot. And then you also think just the amount of turnover in general from a head coaching standpoint, it's been a lot. And the Raiders haven't really used high draft capital at linebacker for the past few drafts, and they've drafted a bunch of dudes in that 5th, 6th, 7th round range that I really think that they're like, let's see what we got. Let's see if we can figure it out. And they're going to see if they can get a resurgence, quote, from Spytek, from Devin White, which makes me really, really nervous. Let's go to Noah Santana, the final one here on today's show, which I believe it is. Mitch, do me a favor, reach out to Navman when you can. All right, Suave, I got you. I'll do it right after this show. Navman, I'll hit you up as soon as we get done here. Again, y'all, I really, really am sorry that our interview got canceled today. I got the text message at probably, I don't even know, like 2 hours before we were getting ready to go live. I forget when I tweeted it out. It was definitely disappointing, but then again, you know, these rookies, they're trying to do all the right things, and they don't know everything that's going to be thrown at them, and mandatory coaches meeting during our interview time. But based on the conversation that I had with the agent, now maybe he was just happy because today's actually his birthday, which I thought was kind of funny, but the agent of the player that we will get on here, we're going to raise some money for a charity, which is going to be a really cool thing. We're going to give away a signed jersey, which I'm really excited to be able to do. I don't have the exact date of when it will happen, but I mean, I'm going to trust the agent's word here on this one, and we're going to be able to get somebody on the show, and I'm going to allow y'all to be able to ask more questions during this next interview, so keep that in mind. All right, y'all, I got to hop on out of here. Appreciate all y'all that tuned in to today's live show. I got to get out of here a little bit earlier today because today is Alex and I, we're getting married in 1 month, and it is also our 2-year engagement anniversary, and I got dinner reservations that I cannot be late for. I do see one coming in from Melly real quick. I know you don't like him, Mitch, and I'm in the same boat, but we have to put that to the side and admit that Amari Cooper is best for business. I mean, if you mean best for business in terms of like helping out the Raiders report, I agree with that. If you're saying like Amari Cooper makes the Raiders a better football team, I actually don't know if I agree with that. And I only say that because Amari Cooper, right now, if you put Amari Cooper out on the field, I think it would almost tip your hand a little bit of what type of play you're going to run, because Cooper's a terrible blocker, and he wants no part of the blocking assignment. And when you draft Jeanty, you need to have receivers that are willing and, you know, wanting to go out there and block. Jack Besh, going to be able to block. Jacoby Myers, going to be able to block. Trey Tucker, I know he's small, but Trey Tucker is actually pound for pound one of the best blocking wide receivers in the NFL, and you could tell that he was a high school wrestler because he is. He's not afraid to get in there, and he's not afraid to get his nose dirty. I don't really know Dante Thornton Jr. just because I haven't really seen it all that much on tape, because that's not really what he was asked to do at Tennessee. They basically told him to go that way at Tennessee. They're like, just run as fast as you can to the post, and that's what they told him to do almost every single time. And I get it. Like, Amari Cooper's got that name value, but at this point of his career, I don't think Amari Cooper is a top 2 receiver on this team. So if you're going to make him wide receiver 3, I actually don't know if it makes your offense better. And I'll stand 10 toes on that because he hasn't been good for 2 seasons. That's a cold, hard fact. Melly, appreciate the question. I like the question a lot, and that's what makes this show fun to me. We're always going to have different opinions, and that's what friends do. That's what family does. And the fact that you're still here rocking with us, greatly, greatly appreciate that. From me, from Chuggs. I'll see you guys on Thursday. We're going to be going live then, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific here on the Raiders Report. Go Dubs.